The loudest voices often attract the most attention, yet some of the most emotionally aware people seem almost invisible online. While millions of users rush to post every meal, every trip, every achievement, and every opinion, there is another group quietly watching from the background or choosing not to participate at all. Their profiles may look empty, their stories appear only once in a while. Days, weeks, or even months can pass without a single update. At first glance, it is easy to assume they are shy, disconnected, or simply uninterested in social media. But modern psychology suggests that this silence may reveal something far more meaningful. It may reflect the way certain people process emotions, relationships, and the world around them. The more closely psychologists study emotional sensitivity and human behavior, the clearer it becomes that constant visibility is not always a sign of confidence, and quietness is not always a sign of fear. In fact, some people intentionally stay away from the spotlight because their minds work differently from what social media platforms reward. Today's digital world encourages people to be seen. Every notification, every like, every comment, and every share sends a message that being visible matters. Algorithms reward activity. Trends reward speed. Popularity often depends on how frequently someone appears on other people's screens. But what happens when a person values emotional peace more than public attention? What happens when every argument, every negative headline, every emotional story, and every heated debate feels heavier than it seems to affect everyone else? That question opens the door to a fascinating psychological discussion that most people rarely stop to consider. The answer is not as simple as personality or confidence. It reaches much deeper into how some individuals experience emotions, relationships, and even everyday interactions. Many people assume social media is the perfect place to stay connected. Yet for certain individuals, it can slowly become one of the most emotionally exhausting environments they encounter. What looks like silence from the outside may actually be a carefully chosen way of protecting inner balance. One of the biggest misconceptions on the internet is that everyone should behave the same way online. If someone posts frequently, people assume they are confident and social. If someone rarely shares anything, people often assume they are lonely, secretive, or lacking self-esteem. Human psychology is far more complex than those simple labels. Emotional awareness cannot be measured by the number of photos someone uploads or the number of followers they collect. Some of the kindest people choose privacy. Some of the most compassionate individuals avoid public attention. Some people who deeply care about others spend very little time showing themselves to the world. That choice may seem unusual in an age where sharing everything has become normal, but it raises an important question. Could silence sometimes reflect emotional strength instead of emotional weakness? There is another important point that deserves attention before going any further. The word empath has become extremely popular in recent years, but it is often misunderstood. Psychology recognizes differences in empathy, emotional sensitivity, and personality traits. Yet the term empath itself is not an official clinical diagnosis. That means this video is not claiming that everyone who stays quiet on social media is automatically an empath, and it is certainly not suggesting that everyone who enjoys posting online lacks empathy. Human behavior is influenced by countless factors, including personality, culture, life experiences, mental health, and individual preferences. Instead of creating labels, this discussion focuses on psychological patterns that researchers have connected with people who show high levels of empathy and emotional sensitivity. Looking at these patterns helps explain why some individuals naturally choose a quieter digital life, while others feel energized by constant online interaction. As this video unfolds, you will discover why emotionally sensitive people often protect their energy instead of chasing attention. You will learn why deep connections can matter more than public recognition, why constant validation loses its appeal for certain personalities, and why endless scrolling may affect emotionally aware individuals in ways that many people never notice. You will also uncover lesser-known psychological findings about emotional overload, privacy, social comparison, and the hidden emotional costs of living in a world where everyone feels expected to be constantly visible. Some of these insights challenge common beliefs about confidence, popularity, and success. Others reveal surprising truths about why stepping away from social media can sometimes improve emotional well-being instead of reducing it. By the end of this video, You may start looking at quiet online profiles in a completely different way. One small decision, such as choosing not to post a personal achievement or keeping an important life event private, can reveal far more about a person's emotional priorities than most people realize. In a culture that often celebrates visibility above everything else, choosing silence can become an unexpected form of emotional intelligence. That idea may sound simple at first, but the psychology behind it is much deeper than it appears. Some of the reasons may surprise you, while others may completely change the way you think about your own relationship with social media. Stay with us until the very end, because the final psychological insight brings together everything you are about to hear and explains why many emotionally aware people protect something far more valuable than online attention. If you enjoy exploring the hidden side of human psychology, emotional intelligence, and fascinating facts about the human mind, welcome to our channel. Make sure to subscribe and join us for more videos that uncover the surprising science behind everyday behavior. The first reason many emotionally sensitive people stay quiet on social media is not because they dislike other people. It is because they work very hard to protect something that many others rarely think about: their emotional energy. Every single day, social media delivers a non-stop stream of emotions. One moment there is exciting news. The next moment there is heartbreaking tragedy. Then comes an angry debate, a shocking headline, a personal confession, or an argument between strangers. Before the mind has time to process one emotion, another one appears. For many people, this is only background noise. They scroll, react, and move on without carrying those emotions for very long. But highly empathetic people often experience these emotional signals very differently. Instead of simply noticing another person's feelings, they may feel deeply connected to them. They naturally pay attention to facial expressions, tone of voice, written words, and emotional clues that others overlook. Their brain spends more time processing what they see. A sad story does not disappear after one swipe. An angry comment may stay in their thoughts long after the screen is turned off. Even joyful moments shared by others can create a mixture of happiness, concern, reflection, and emotional involvement. This deeper emotional processing can slowly become exhausting without the person even realizing why they feel mentally tired. This is one reason many emotionally sensitive people begin changing their online habits. They are not trying to avoid the world. They are trying to avoid emotional overload. Every visit to social media becomes an experience filled with hundreds of emotional signals arriving almost at the same time. A single scrolling session may include a family celebrating a wedding, another family grieving a loss, people arguing about politics, friends comparing vacations, strangers expressing anxiety, someone asking for help, another person sharing exciting news, and countless opinions competing for attention. The human brain was never designed to absorb so many emotional experiences within a few minutes. For someone who naturally notices emotional details, this constant flood can slowly drain mental energy. They may finish scrolling without posting anything at all, yet still feel emotionally exhausted. That exhaustion is often invisible because there is no physical work involved. The person simply sat with a phone in their hand. Yet their mind spent that entire time processing feelings that belonged not only to themselves but also to hundreds of other people. Many emotionally aware individuals begin recognizing this pattern after months or even years. They notice that their mood changes depending on what appears on their screen. They become anxious after reading endless arguments. They feel sadness after seeing difficult stories from around the world. They feel pressure after watching people constantly celebrate achievements and success. None of these experiences are fake. They simply arrive without pause. As a result, many decide to spend less time online. This decision is often misunderstood. Friends may think they have become distant. Others assume they are losing interest in relationships. In reality, they are protecting their emotional balance. They understand that peace is not only created by positive experiences, it is also protected by reducing unnecessary emotional noise. Psychologists have long studied emotional sensitivity and have found that people differ greatly in the way they respond to emotional information. Some recover quickly after stressful experiences. Others continue thinking about those experiences long afterward. Highly empathetic individuals often fall into the second group. Their emotional system remains active even after the event has passed. Social media creates the perfect environment for this cycle, because there is always another emotional story waiting. There is no natural stopping point. Television programs eventually end. Newspapers have only so many pages. Conversations eventually become quiet. Social media rarely pauses. It continues 24 hours a day, filling every spare moment with fresh emotional material. For someone who naturally absorbs emotions, stepping away becomes an act of self-protection rather than avoidance. Another interesting pattern appears when emotionally aware people think about sharing their own lives online. Many of them hesitate before pressing the post button. This hesitation is not always caused by fear of judgment. Instead, they begin thinking about how their post might affect other people. They wonder whether someone going through a difficult time might feel worse after seeing it. They question whether sharing a personal achievement might accidentally create comparison. They think about misunderstandings before they happen. They imagine different emotional reactions from different people. While many users quickly upload content without much reflection, emotionally sensitive individuals often spend far more time considering emotional consequences. Sometimes they decide that remaining silent feels more comfortable than creating another emotional wave for other people to experience. This way of thinking also explains why many empathetic people spend more time listening than speaking. They enjoy understanding people instead of constantly presenting themselves. During conversations, they ask thoughtful questions. They notice emotional changes. They remember details that others forget. These qualities often continue into their digital lives. Instead of posting every personal experience, they quietly observe how other people are feeling. Yet observation also comes with a cost. Watching hundreds of emotional situations every day requires mental energy. Eventually, many realize that protecting their emotional health means reducing unnecessary exposure. Another reason emotionally aware people often stay quiet online is that they usually place greater value on genuine connection than public attention. Social media has made it possible to communicate with hundreds or even thousands of people at once. This has created amazing opportunities, but it has also changed how relationships are measured. Numbers have become symbols of importance. Followers, likes, shares, comments, views. These numbers can create the feeling that bigger always means better. Yet emotionally sensitive individuals often measure relationships very differently. For them, one honest conversation may feel more meaningful than hundreds of reactions from strangers. Spending an evening talking with a trusted friend can provide more emotional satisfaction than receiving thousands of likes on a photograph. Their attention naturally moves toward depth rather than size. This difference becomes noticeable in everyday behavior. Instead of sharing every personal milestone with everyone, they may tell only a few people who truly matter. Instead of posting emotional struggles online, they often choose private conversations where they feel understood. Instead of announcing every success, they quietly celebrate with family or close friends. Their happiest memories are not always the ones that appear on a screen. Some of their most meaningful experiences remain known only to the people who shared those moments with them. They are not hiding happiness. They are protecting intimacy. Modern psychology suggests that human beings need belonging far more than popularity. Genuine belonging develops through trust, honesty, empathy, and emotional safety. These qualities require time. They cannot be measured by follower counts. An emotionally aware person often understands this naturally. They know that many people can admire them without truly knowing them. At the same time, one caring relationship can provide emotional support that thousands of online reactions never could. This is why they often invest more effort in maintaining real conversations than maintaining a perfect online image. There is also another quiet difference. Deep conversations often leave emotionally sensitive people feeling energized. Surface conversations can leave them feeling empty. Social media tends to encourage quick responses because everything moves so fast. Posts disappear within hours. Trends change overnight. Attention shifts almost instantly. Deep conversations work differently. They unfold slowly. People listen carefully. They respond thoughtfully. They ask questions. They reflect. They understand each other's emotions instead of simply reacting. This slower pace often feels much more natural for people who value emotional understanding. Many emotionally aware individuals also notice that online communication sometimes removes important emotional signals. Words alone cannot always express kindness, concern, humor, or compassion. Tone of voice disappears. Facial expressions disappear. Body language disappears. Small misunderstandings become much easier. A harmless comment may appear rude. A thoughtful message may sound cold. Someone may feel ignored even when no harm was intended. Because empathetic people naturally pay attention to emotional details, these missing signals can make online communication feel incomplete. They often prefer situations where they can fully understand another person's feelings instead of guessing what those feelings might be. There is another reason why public attention loses its appeal for many emotionally sensitive individuals. Their motivation often comes from internal satisfaction rather than external approval. Social media encourages people to seek visible reactions. Every notification provides immediate feedback. Every new follower creates a small feeling of recognition. Every positive comment can temporarily increase confidence. There is nothing wrong with enjoying appreciation. Everyone likes to feel valued. The difference is where that sense of value comes from. Emotionally aware individuals often spend much more time looking inward. They ask themselves whether their actions match their values, instead of asking whether everyone approves. Their satisfaction usually depends more on personal growth than public recognition. Because of this mindset, they may not feel pressured to constantly prove that life is exciting. They do not always feel the need to document every meal, every purchase, every celebration, or every achievement. They understand that an experience remains meaningful even if nobody else sees it. A peaceful walk still brings peace without being photographed. A kind conversation still matters without becoming a public post. A beautiful sunset remains beautiful even if it is never uploaded. Their enjoyment comes from living the experience, instead of collecting evidence that the experience happened. This does not mean emotionally sensitive people never use social media. Many enjoy sharing photographs, ideas, creative work, or important moments. The difference is that posting usually serves the experience instead of replacing it. They can spend weeks without uploading anything, because silence does not make them feel invisible. Their identity is not built around remaining constantly present in other people's feeds. Their confidence depends less on outside attention and more on personal values, meaningful relationships, and emotional balance. This internal focus also protects them from one of the strongest psychological forces on social media: comparison. Every platform presents carefully selected moments from other people's lives. Vacations appear perfect. Homes appear perfect. Careers appear perfect. Relationships appear perfect. Even though most people know these images show only part of reality, the human brain still compares. Emotionally aware individuals recognize this tendency more quickly. Many choose not to participate because they understand that comparing real life with carefully edited moments rarely creates happiness. Instead of chasing impossible standards, they focus on building a life that feels meaningful to them. As time passes, another challenge begins to appear: constant stimulation. Modern social media rarely stays quiet for even a few minutes. Notifications arrive throughout the day. New trends replace old ones before people fully understand them. Emotional stories compete with comedy videos. Educational content appears beside heated arguments. Music plays automatically. Bright images demand attention. Every application encourages users to keep scrolling just a little longer. This endless stimulation can become especially difficult for emotionally sensitive individuals because their brain is already working hard to process emotional information. Every additional notification asks for attention. Every opinion asks for evaluation. Every emotional story asks for compassion. Eventually, the brain begins feeling overloaded, not because any single post is overwhelming, but because thousands of small emotional experiences build up over time. For many emotionally sensitive people, privacy is not about hiding. It is about protecting what feels meaningful. In today's world, there is often an unspoken expectation that every important moment should be shared. Birthdays, vacations, achievements, family gatherings, new relationships, personal goals, and even quiet moments of happiness quickly become public updates. Many people enjoy sharing these experiences, and there is nothing wrong with that. But highly empathetic people often see these moments differently. They feel that some experiences become more valuable when they remain personal. Instead of reaching for a phone, they choose to remain fully present. Instead of thinking about captions or reactions, They focus on the people standing beside them. Their attention stays with the experience itself rather than the audience that might later see it. This difference may seem small, but it reflects a much deeper emotional habit. They often believe that not every beautiful moment needs public approval in order to be meaningful. This way of thinking comes from the emotional value they attach to personal experiences. A heartfelt conversation with a parent, a quiet evening with a close friend, a peaceful walk after a difficult week, or a simple family dinner may become memories that feel deeply personal. Sharing those moments with thousands of strangers can sometimes change the way they remember them. The memory no longer belongs only to the people who lived it, becomes something open to comments, opinions, comparisons, and reactions. For someone who feels emotions deeply, this shift can make the experience feel less intimate. They may begin thinking about how other people interpret the moment instead of simply appreciating what it meant to them. Because of this, many emotionally aware people naturally separate private happiness from public attention. They understand that the emotional value of a memory often comes from living it, not displaying it. Privacy also creates a feeling of emotional safety. Every time something personal is shared online, control over that information becomes smaller. People may misunderstand the story. They may judge it without knowing the full situation. They may compare it to their own lives, or make assumptions that are completely wrong. Emotionally sensitive individuals often recognize these possibilities before they happen. Their minds naturally explore different emotional outcomes. They wonder how family members might feel. They think about how close friends could interpret the post. They even consider how strangers might react. While some people see posting as a simple action, empathetic individuals may quietly think through many emotional possibilities before deciding whether to share anything at all. Quite often, the answer becomes simple. Keeping the moment private feels more peaceful than inviting unnecessary attention. This does not mean they are secretive or afraid of openness. Most emotionally aware people enjoy meaningful conversations with people they trust. They often share their thoughts, honestly, in safe relationships. The difference is that they carefully choose where those conversations happen. A private discussion with someone who truly understands them feels very different from placing personal experiences in front of hundreds or thousands of people. They value emotional trust more than public visibility. Trust takes time to build. It grows through honesty, consistency, and mutual understanding. Social media cannot always provide those conditions. Because of that, they naturally reserve their deepest emotions for the people who have earned that trust. Many emotionally sensitive individuals also notice something interesting after spending time away from social media. Certain experiences feel richer when they remain private. A vacation becomes more relaxing when there is no pressure to document every detail. A personal achievement feels more satisfying when it is celebrated quietly with loved ones instead of waiting for online reactions. Even difficult moments become easier to process without hundreds of outside opinions entering the situation. Privacy gives emotions room to develop naturally. Joy becomes quieter but deeper. Sadness becomes easier to understand. Gratitude becomes more personal. The experience belongs entirely to the individual instead of becoming part of an endless stream of online content. Another reason emotionally aware people often remain quiet online is that they notice emotional patterns that many others miss. Social media is not only a place where people share information, it is also a place where subtle emotions move from one person to another every day. Comparison appears almost everywhere. Competition quietly influences behavior. Envy sometimes hides behind compliments. Misunderstandings grow because written words cannot always express emotion clearly. Highly empathetic people often recognize these emotional signals long before they become obvious to everyone else. Their attention naturally moves beyond the words on the screen. They notice changes in tone. They recognize hidden frustration. They sense insecurity beneath confidence. They observe when someone appears happy but may actually be seeking reassurance. These emotional observations happen almost automatically because they notice these hidden emotional dynamics. Many choose not to participate in situations that seem likely to create unnecessary conflict. A simple disagreement can quickly become an argument. A harmless opinion can turn into a personal attack. Friendly competition can slowly become resentment. Emotional people often recognize these changes while they are still small. Rather than joining the conflict, they quietly step away. To someone watching from the outside, this silence may appear like weakness or avoidance. In reality, it is often a deliberate choice. They understand that not every disagreement deserves their emotional energy. Comparison is one of the strongest emotional forces on social media. Every day, people see carefully selected moments from thousands of lives: new homes, promotions, vacations, expensive purchases, fitness achievements, perfect family photographs, smiling faces. None of these things are necessarily dishonest, but they rarely tell the complete story. Emotionally aware individuals often understand that everyone struggles with challenges that remain invisible online. Even so, they also recognize how comparison quietly affects human emotions. They see friends becoming discouraged after watching someone else's success. They notice confidence changing into self-doubt. They recognize how quickly people begin measuring their own lives against carefully edited moments. Because they understand this emotional pattern, many reduce their own participation. They would rather spend energy improving their lives than constantly comparing them with someone else's highlight reel. Competition creates another emotional challenge. Social media sometimes encourages people to compete for attention without even realizing it. More followers, more likes, better photographs, better vacations, better achievements, better lifestyles. These silent competitions may never be spoken aloud, yet they influence behavior every day. Highly empathetic individuals often feel uncomfortable in environments where personal value seems connected to popularity. They usually believe that human worth cannot be measured through numbers on a screen. This belief naturally changes the way they interact online. They stop chasing attention because they no longer see attention as proof of importance. Envy also plays a quiet role in many online interactions. Most people do not openly admit feeling jealous, yet psychology shows that comparison often creates feelings of envy without conscious intention. Emotionally sensitive individuals frequently recognize these emotions, not only in themselves but also in others. They understand that constant displays of success can unintentionally create emotional discomfort for people who are struggling. This does not mean they should hide every positive experience. Instead, it explains why many choose balance instead of constant self-promotion. They prefer authenticity over performance because genuine connection matters more than appearing impressive. Misunderstandings happen surprisingly often on social media because emotional context disappears. A short message may sound cold even when kindness was intended. A joke may appear offensive without facial expressions or tone of voice. A delayed reply may be interpreted as rejection, even when someone is simply busy. Emotionally aware people often think about these possibilities before responding. They know how easily feelings become hurt when communication lacks emotional signals. This awareness sometimes makes them slower to comment, slower to argue, and slower to react. Silence often becomes the safer choice, because it prevents emotional confusion that never needed to happen in the first place. Choosing silence should never be confused with fear. For many emotionally sensitive people, silence is an active decision rather than a passive one. They choose peace over unnecessary conflict. They choose understanding over instant reaction. They choose thoughtful reflection over emotional impulse. Remaining quiet allows them to protect their own emotional balance while also avoiding situations that could create tension for others. In a world where many people feel pressure to express every opinion immediately, the ability to pause becomes a quiet form of emotional maturity. Unfortunately, this behavior is often misunderstood. Someone who rarely posts may quickly receive labels from other people. They are called antisocial. They are described as distant. Others assume they are lonely or unhappy. Some people even believe they have no interesting life simply because they share very little online. These assumptions are easy to make because social media shows only visible activity. It does not show meaningful conversations that happen away from screens. It does not show peaceful evenings spent with family. It does not reveal quiet acts of kindness, personal growth, or creative work happening behind the scenes. The absence of online activity tells us very little about the richness of someone's real life. Many emotionally aware individuals are actually investing their time in places where emotional rewards feel stronger. They spend hours talking with loved ones, instead of scrolling through endless updates. They enjoy reading, learning new skills, creating art, writing, exercising, volunteering, or simply spending quiet time reflecting. Their relationships often grow through shared experiences rather than public posts. Their confidence develops through personal achievements instead of online recognition. Their emotional balance comes from habits that many people never see. Because those habits happen completely offline, family often becomes one of their highest priorities. Instead of documenting every gathering, they focus on participating fully. Friends become people to call rather than audiences to impress. Creativity becomes something they enjoy for its own sake, instead of something that must always be displayed. Personal growth becomes a private journey measured by internal progress, rather than external applause. Mental peace slowly becomes more valuable than digital popularity. These priorities naturally reduce the amount of time and emotional energy they spend online. It is also important to understand that empathy is not something people either have or do not have. Modern psychology generally views empathy as existing on a spectrum. Some individuals naturally experience stronger emotional sensitivity than others. Some easily recognize emotional expressions, while others find this more difficult. People also differ in sensory sensitivity, personality, life experiences, and coping styles. Because of these differences, there is no single profile that perfectly describes every emotionally sensitive person. The word empath has become popular because many people recognize parts of themselves in descriptions of deep emotional awareness. However, it is important to remember that empath is not a formal clinical diagnosis recognized in psychology. Researchers study empathy, emotional sensitivity, compassion, perspective-taking, and related personality traits. But human behavior is always more complex than a single label. Two people may both describe themselves as empaths, while experiencing emotions in completely different ways. One may enjoy social media, but carefully limit the type of content they consume. Another may rarely use it at all. One may enjoy sharing creative work publicly while keeping family life private. Another may avoid public platforms almost entirely. Both patterns can exist because personality is shaped by many different influences. That is why it is more useful to think in terms of patterns instead of absolute rules. Many highly empathetic people protect their emotional energy, value privacy, seek genuine relationships, and limit unnecessary stimulation. But these behaviors are tendencies rather than requirements. Every individual expresses empathy differently. Some are naturally outgoing. Others are quiet. Some enjoy sharing their lives online in healthy ways, while others prefer keeping meaningful moments within a trusted circle. The important lesson is not whether someone posts frequently or rarely. The more interesting is what emotional needs their behavior is serving. Because behind every online habit, there is often a deeper psychological reason waiting to be understood. Maybe the strongest people are not the ones who are seen the most. Maybe they're the ones who know when to stay unseen. If you see yourself in these signs, remember this. You don't have to be loud to matter. You don't have to post every moment to prove your life has value. Sometimes protecting your peace is the healthiest decision you can make. So before you judge someone for being quiet online, ask yourself one question. Are they hiding, or are they simply protecting what matters most? If this video gave you a new perspective, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoy videos that explore psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns of the mind, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.